lot of people asked me why I thought that Magic the Gathering was meant for me, why someone with a physique like mine was not hiking or mountain climbing. Those two may be the same, but doesn't matter. Or possibly jumping out of airplanes without parachutes, landing gracefully, like an artful ballerina. But what I realized was that those games only tested me physically and not mentally. And Magic made my brain tight, like a whip.
Have you ever been to one of these things? The community there is great. You know, these guys, there's Chuck, a lot of characters. Chuck is he's a carpenter, but he does these little things. He, in his spare time, he whittles little boats, and he can make one for you. I can show him. I have a whole thing of them at home because he, whenever you beat Chuck, he'll whittle you a boat.
It's not a locked-in game where if you got the most expensive card or the best card, you win. You can make any deck possible and just stimulate your mind, creatively.
You know, Richard Garfield, the guy who created the game, was a Penn grad. I'm a Penn grad. He did it as part of like a thesis for math. So, you know, come up with by smart guys. I feel like the people who play it are some of the cooler people around too. So.
If you can go to a professional level, which I'm not at yet, but hopefully I will be, you can actually live off the game because most people do get millions of dollars off of this game and just pay their taxes.
Most people have at least encountered Magic, if not played it at one point in their life. So it's hard to kind of pin it down as like some dorky Dungeons and Dragons in your basement with your neckbeard friends, you know, type of game.
Magic's a lot more complicated than the Yu-Gi-Oh over there, so it's a lot more interesting to me. It's like the difference between checkers and chess.
There's more to it. There's like, it's more complicated. It's got more flavor to it. Like there's more there. You know, there's like more stories, better art, more rules, more cards, more different ways to win. It's just more fun.
It's the only game that can't go dead because it's been out for about 16, 17 years, and if you look at most of the games that are out there, what you see is it's dead, 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 almost dead Magic.
Magic has a whole lot of like steps, phases, combinations where it like for the intermediate and advanced player it'll make sense, but a beginner they won't know what's going on. You got to sit there and explain it to them.
Yeah, you start with 20 life, and each player has monsters look kind of like this guy. And so it's sort of like Lord of the Rings, where each person playing is like a wizard who like commands an army, and then your goal is to attack the other player. And it's like a cross between poker and chess, because you have your monsters that are out on the board, and then you have your cards in your hand that the other person can't see. And so that's what the strategy is your monsters versus their monsters, trying to guess what's in the other person's hand.
Once you get into it, you start to think about it pretty often. You start to dream about it sometimes. And I think in that sense, it can definitely become a lifestyle.
Yeah, Magic's, it's a pretty extreme sport. Like, I can easily see Mountain Dew sponsoring Magic. Like, they'll have like these commercials, like you can see like the mountain bikers. Only with Magic, you have like dragon riding.
So you made a lot of friends playing Magic?
I made a lot of enemies too.
If you can't be happy losing,
Be happy being
you'll
miserable.
never be happy at all.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing against me. It's something I
Playing
always,
against the best.
I shake their hand and I say, be ready. But
Yeah.
I've come to realize, Magic, it's a game of brains, but I have those. Doesn't need training, but reflexes, these arms, like thunder, they clap on the floor, clap when I throw down an instant card and annihilate the opponent.
His instants are awesome.
He was at one comic book
Yes,
shop.
I was at the
and-
Forbidden Planet.
And I was at Dark Magic 3 right across the street.
Yes, it's been franchised. There are over 7 Dark Magics.
Yes. You know so much.
I do know so much. Red deck usually beats green deck. It made me feel dominant to be around her. I followed her home.
I knew he was following me, of course. And
Part of the chase.
when we got to my stoop, I asked him if he wanted to come in and see my collection of bows and arrows.
Oh, and I love.
And he
knowing
did.
her. Yes.
I've been playing off and on since I was like 8 years old. I think the first set was Revised, came out, and then I've just been played like a year or two in high school, then a year or two at college, and now I'm a graduate. Today I'm playing a mono red deck, which is the most aggressive deck you could possibly play. So I just try and get angry when I play. I'm just attacking as much as I can, burning out as much as I can, and this upsets some people who like a more relaxed, kind of chill atmosphere when they're playing the game, but I think that's my strategy when I go in with this deck. If I play another deck, I've got a green-white deck, it's a little bit more life gain, sit back on a bunch of creatures, hang out, that kind of thing.
I got into Magic around, I guess, high school, because like, didn't really have that many friends, and it was just, you know, it was an escape. And like when I came to college, I was just, you know, looking for other people who liked Magic too, and I was kind of hoping, you know, it would help me meet women, but hasn't really worked out. Magic, like any other sport, there has to be a best. There has to be a number one. And that man's Joe Lawless.
He is masterful. I'd never seen a player like him. Excuse me, Luke.
No,
The way he meticulously manages his deck. From birth. He must have been doing it from birth.
I study his every move. Like I videotape him while he's practicing. Not that he knows that, but
there definitely was a time when I was not the best. That time was long ago, and then I was
it was when
reborn.
he was a baby. 'Cause
I was, yeah.
It's like as soon as you came of age, you were the best.
Something that my grandmother always said that brought me to this point. She looked at me, and as I started throwing cards down, as mana swirled around me, she said, "You are a blossoming flower in an elven field. Your heart dances to the will of Yawgmoth." And I didn't know if I understood what she meant, but then I realized she was just looking at me and saying, "You're the best."